Go.
Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is start by loading the flies into the training tubes. Out of the way. So I just, pre-position the funnel and then grab one of our vials of flies, tap them down to the bottom, and then just stick them over on the funnel and tap them down into this tube. Put the cap on. You don't really have to worry about them escaping. They won't walk quick enough to escape. So just position the shock tube there. Do the same thing with the other one. So we have flies loaded. So of course before you started taping we checked and made sure that our stimulator was working and that our shock grids were conducting the voltage properly. And so the first thing I'll do is just start the airflow through these tubes. And so you're going to want it for 30 seconds. So I usually just start it up, start my timer, and then during this 30 seconds I'll use the time to hook up the shock electrode wires. As these are hooked up, you want to try not to torque the little ears from the shock grids any more than you have to. So there we go. So we've got odor coming through, or air coming through, and then I'll take the benzaldehyde front and the octanol back and line them up for odor. And so we've actually slightly passed 30 seconds, but it doesn't matter, you want roughly 30 seconds of air. So I usually at this point reset my timer, and then I hook up my odor tubes. You'll see nothing's passing through yet until I hook both of them up and I hit start. Wait 5 seconds. So the odor's going through the shock tubes now. And on the 5th second I start the stimulation. And then I'll check my flow rates over here. So the one on one side's a little bit low. So normally there'll be a clamp there. I'll get one for the next round. I'm just holding it with my thumb and forefinger right now.
So you're using that to equalize the
to equalize the flow rate. And so I'm at about 400 mils per minute. So I'll make sure to test at that flow rate as well. And so you won't be able to see it on your video at all, but you can also kind of watch through the shock tubes, and you'll see as the shock comes, any flies that are on the ceiling will drop off. So you can kind of get a visual feedback that the shock is working. You can barely see it with your eyes, so I doubt you'll be able to see that. Alright, so we'll do this one, and then do you want to jump on after?
Whenever you finish.
Okay. I'll let you know, it'll be a couple of minutes. So I disconnect the shock electrodes and then change to the benzaldehyde back and the octanol front. And then so wait 30 seconds, we got 3 left, 2, 1, go. And now we're pulling the counter odor through.
So again, this is going to be 1 minute of counter odor.
1 minute, yeah, 1 minute of counter odor. And you notice on the first one, just to kind of, you'll want to pay attention to the visual patterns of the way everything is. So the benzaldehyde front will be attached to the front maze when you're testing, and it will also always be attached to the front shock tube when you're training. So once these are marked, benzaldehyde back, that will always be on the back for training and testing.
So perhaps in a full light environment, I can put colored tape on the corresponding
yeah, you could.
Parts.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll wait until 2 minutes and 30 seconds goes by. Until our clock reads 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And of course, it doesn't matter how you set your timer. I like to reset the timer after the first 30 seconds of air, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, 2:30. So we're done now, and we're going to let it pull air through the training tubes for 30 seconds while we fix all of our odorants in front of the mazes the way they need to go for testing. And so disconnect the vacuum that was pulling air through our mazes, make sure all of our arms are nice and tight, and then I'll disconnect these little loading tubes from the two mazes. I'll disconnect the air here. And so, depending on which end you're doing, on the first end, I'll load the front training tube into the front maze. On every other end, on even ends, it'll be in the back maze to reverse the pattern of fly movement. So I'll just take this, tap them down to the bottom again, and then stick them in the funnel, tap them down into here, and quickly load them onto the maze so the flies are down here.
Great.
Just set the training tubes aside. Alright, so now the flies are loaded in this kind of loading arm of the maze. So I'll pull the elevator up to the top so that they can go into the elevator. And just take our rubber piece here and just tap them down into it. And then quickly drop the elevator into the middle position so all the flies are in the middle, stuck in the middle of the maze now. Do it for the back maze as well. And then once they're in that middle position, I'll reset my timer and give them 1 minute. Just sitting in the middle there to kind of calm down. During this 1 minute period, you hook up the odors to the mazes. So of course, since there's no vacuum on the top hooked up yet, it won't actually be pulling them. Exactly.
Great.
But what it'll do is, the odor will slightly seep into these arms a little bit, and it'll be completely ready to go. So that when I hook this up at the end of this 1 minute period and drop them, the odor flow will start immediately, and the flies will be right in the choice point and be able to make the choice starting pretty much immediately.
So that they actually get about 2 minutes between.
About 2 minutes between minimum.
Okay.
And
Training and testing.
Right. If you want to really do it, 3-minute memory, the official way, you would give them an extra minute. Attach this. Slowly drop it down. Make sure the mazes are down tightly, and then immediately check the flow rates. It's a little bit high here.
No picture.
no photo.
And so we'll give them 2 minutes to distribute among the arms.
German, you want to say hi to the students?
Hi, students.
Say hello from
it's
France.
For students are
Yeah,
really
yeah.
serious. I'm French, and I take everything seriously because I'm a serious French. Thank you for your attention.
The French public service announcement.
So
Yeah,
you-
Nick, are you Sarkozy or DSK?
I think a
Or
mix
Martine
of them would
Aubry.
be perfect.
Yeah, okay.
So you can actually see now in the mazes the flies are starting to distribute between the two arms properly. So in the front maze, all the flies, or at least the vast majority of them, are heading to the right arm, since they were trained that benzaldehyde on the left was associated with shock. And then in the back maze, it was the opposite. It's kind of hard to see on your camera, but you can see the density a little bit, the dark spots on the right arm down there. And then in the back maze here, most of the flies are distributing to the left and not the right. So we're about 1:30 of distributing right now.
And how long are you giving them to distribute?
2 minutes total to distribute between the arms. So we have about 15 seconds left.
You something in the dark?
Hmm?
You can record something.
Yeah, it shows up pretty good on the thing.
Pull the mazes up into their middle position. This back maze is a little bit sticky. The one thing to watch here, and you might want to put the camera to the side, is make sure that you don't pull the elevator up too high. Otherwise, there will be a gap underneath it, and the flies could go between the arms again.
Okay.
So make sure that when you pull it up, you only pull it up to the middle position so that the bottom of the elevator is still below, this arm.
Good.
And then what we do is disconnect the odorants, and we have all the flies distributed in the arms. and we will disconnect the the vacuum from these, and take our CO2 and knock the flies out. Now, of course, the critical part here, and you just have to remember to be very careful every time and look 3 times before you do this to make sure that your odorant tubes are no longer connected, because if you blow the CO2 through the
back in
mazes,
there.
it
Yeah.
will actually then take the mineral oil and blow it back through the tubes, and you'll have a massive mess to clean up. So I always grab this and then look, second or third time to make sure that all of my odor vials are disconnected at this stage. And so put a little CO2 into the mazes, and you'll see the flies are now knocked out in each arm. And we actually didn't get them yet, but we'll at this point disconnect the arms and load the flies into the vials that we'll be using to count them. So I actually have to go get those in.
Okay.